You are listening to the Average Pundits podcast on your favorite streaming platform.
Hiya guys, and welcome back to the Average Pundits. Oh my god. Football, man, football. It is just honestly crazy. England are in a European final. I never thought I'd see it. Well, I've severely doubted I'd see it. I mean, after the World Cup, the heartbreak and stuff, and fair play. Oh my god. I don't think there's a feeling better. I honestly don't. Guys, as always, I am joined by Mr. Reese Williams, and we are going to be going through our reactions to, an incredible semi-final, an amazing feeling going through now to face Italy in the final of the Euros, which is going to be a tough game, but we've got a lot to break down and to cover in between that. But Reese, how you doing?
I'm good. We were talking just off camera for a little second, and we were like, we haven't felt as good about football or international football in quite a long time. It's been a while since we've been in this sort of atmosphere and feeling since potentially that Trippier free kick against Croatia in the semi-final of the World Cup. So to see that penalty go in with Kane, absolutely buzzing to see.
Not quite a penalty though.
Well,
quite the penalty. We'll still give it to Kane. He still smashed it home. It doesn't matter how it goes in. He did it.
Kane smashes it home and he's coming home, so it's fine. Just that entire thing and watching all of the Irish and the Scottish and the Welsh people cry, that's very fun. It's just what can you say other than that we deserved it. We were the better team, as we'll probably go on to in the upcoming segments that we've got planned for this podcast. But before we do get into this, if you're listening on any streaming platforms, make sure to give us a follow on there. You can find everywhere on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Music. All that Anchor will take you to any of those streaming services. Or if you're watching us on YouTube, hi guys, give us a subscribe, like this, comment down below what you think the score will be for this Sunday's game against Italy in the Euro 2020/21 final. But yeah, I know also on the screen, if you're on YouTube, is the socials. But if you're not watching the YouTube video, then go to @Pundits Average on Twitter and the Average Pundits on Instagram too. So I feel like we should get into, before we get into Italy, I feel like maybe we should give a little bit of a reaction to England versus Denmark. I mean, Joe, it's feeling sweet, isn't it?
Oh, it's fantastic. It was fantastic. The vibes were right. The mood was right. The whole country was behind the team. It was fantastic, and also, fair play to Denmark. They gave us a game. Before I go in to say anything about England, you do have to quickly throw a lot of credit to that team coming from what they did with Christian Eriksen. We spoke about that a lot in the previous episode if you haven't seen. But for a team that went through such a traumatic event early on in the competition to get to where they are now, it's fantastic, and no one will take that away from them. They gave us a really good game, and also scored one of the best goals at the tournament. Could be the best goal at the tournament. We have to see. Damsgaard, young Danish midfielder, I believe he is, absolutely crazy. What a free kick goal. And, it's typical, isn't it? We clean sheet up until that game, no free kick scored at the Euros, and then there it is against England.
We conceded a free kick against a young player with arguably one of the worst hairlines for a 21-year-old.
That's a violation.
Did you see it though? He lifted his hair up. You can fit the entirety of his hand underneath his hair.
Violation.
He's looking like Dwight Schrute.
Hairstyle aside, he scored an absolute belter against us. And who was it who came with the heroics to level us against Denmark? That man again. Yeah. I'm crediting Sterling for it. I'm crediting Sterling, Kane, and Saka. They were instrumental in that goal. I wish it could have been given to Sterling, man. I really do. That guy has just been lighting up the Euros. But however they come in, Kier gifted us the goal, trying all he could, obviously, to keep it out of the back of the net. But these things do happen in those kind of situations. But we reaped the rewards from it, 1-1. And then, got through the full 90. I wasn't expecting to get through the full 90. I think my prediction was 2-0. I think you had a 1-0.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting to see it go to 90 minutes. It was all the more nerve-wracking going into extra time. A lot of questions around the penalty. We'll go into that in a minute. We'll go into that in a minute. But at the end of the day, Kane took the penalty. It was saved. Kane pounced as quick as he could. Kasper Schmeichel made plenty of good saves in that game. He was a fantastic, arguably the best Danish player on the pitch in that game.
It was a really, really good chance. I think Sterling, I mean, wasn't the best of shots, but he was hit straight at him. But Schmeichel did very, very well to position himself, so the shot didn't come back to him. Schmeichel had a very good game. To be fair, the entire Danish team had a great game for about maybe about 60 minutes, I'd say. They played well for an hour, and then they just started getting tired because the previous game, I'm pretty sure that it all went to they went the distance and everything like that. So they're all tired. And just for the last hour, 30 minutes left in the game to take to the 90, and then the last 60, or the last 30, sorry, the 15 minutes each half an extra time. They were just too tired. They were cramping up. In the last half of extra time, they had players taken off. That they were playing with 9 or 10 men because they had no substitutions left. They were all absolutely knackered. And I think, we'll come on to the penalty. We were the better side. We played better despite the penalty, despite the free kick. Sorry. Shall we go into the penalty now?
Yeah, let's talk about it. I mean, it was obviously Sterling brought down in the box. There are a lot of criticisms, especially an awful lot from the Danish side about the legitimacy of that penalty. I think afterwards, I saw Arsene Wenger comment on it, on the situation, saying that VAR had, let the Danish down and let the referee down in that kind of decision. But the penalty was given. Whatever your views of that are, by this time now you would have seen it. I think the majority of the consensus is that for the English fans anyway, is that it was a penalty. I personally believed it was at the time. I feel like a lot worse penalties have been given in the Premier League. A lot worse penalties than that. Obviously, on that spotlight, I don't know how anyone would want to referee into that spotlight. You've got to credit the refs when they get to that level. I mean, decisions on the pitch aside, the pressure that they're on, millions of people watching, all the people in the arena, it's absolutely crazy to get it right. But at the end of the day, penalty was taken, penalty was saved, great save by Kasper Schmeichel. Kane pounced on it. We get the goal. We see out the rest of extra time. Towards the end of it, it was kind of very evident we weren't going for another goal. We were just playing it out, going to the corner when we needed to. Masterclass, really, at the end of the day. It took us an awful long time to get there. I think definitely we could have been more efficient, 100%, but it doesn't matter because here we are. I don't know what you made of the penalty situation.
Well, people are like, there was another ball on the pitch. There was fouls there. He didn't get touched. Yet we didn't get a penalty in the first half when Kane was it the first half when Kane was brought down? Oh, no, it was the second half. When Kane was brought down, right? That was a penalty. And obviously for those watching the game, I think it was the BBC. It was BBC or ITV. I can't remember which one. They had a referee. I think it was Peter Walton or something like that, and they went to him, and he said that it was a penalty, and VAR should know it was a penalty, and it just wasn't given. And I'm like, there we go. Then it's just repaying us for that, if you think about it. And there was fouls leading up to the free kick as well that they scored.
But another thing about the penalty that we scored from in question, obviously something outside of the pitch. By now, everyone really has seen it. A fan allegedly shining a laser pointer at Kasper Schmeichel. Now, the thing is as well, there was definitely pictures of Kasper Schmeichel with this green kind of mark on his face that a laser pointer would make. But I'm not being funny. And I've seen a lot of stuff saying that England are going to be charged because of that, amongst another couple of things. But I don't really see how that can be concretely proven unless they've got this guy banged to rights. I don't know. I can't comment on that. The other things that I think England were getting charged for was like booing in the national anthem, which I don't think is necessarily just England. I think it's not meant. I think a lot of the time it's not meant in terms of direct disrespect to that nation. It's meant. I think it's the fans trying to throw them off. I do believe that, but you can understand why it's interpreted as disrespectful, especially if the nation you're facing, their fans have been very dignified and letting your national anthem, reign out. And also, we're playing at Wembley. Our national anthem is always going to be heard louder because the fans are the ones, singing it. Our fans are there. But that was a couple of things outside of it that I think dampened certain elements. But it hasn't done enough. I mean, the overall feel is still there. We're still positive. We're still in the final. Hopefully, whatever happens there gets resolved. But on the pitch, 2-1, we're in the final, facing a very tough opposition, though.
Yeah. Whatever happens now, Denmark are in a rearview mirror. Yeah, no offense, you're gone. You're in the bin. You're going home. Speaking of homes, it's coming home. I don't know if you've heard about that. Expected delivery on Sunday, about 10:15, and it's coming home. I think yeah, this Italian side's deadly. We'll now look towards the final, and it's kind of interesting to see both teams, how they compare going up, to the final. I mean, both of these teams were, everyone's like, oh, England kept a clean sheet in the group stage. So did Italy. Italy, they scored 7 goals in the group stages too. We scored 2. It just shows their firepower. Obviously, I mean, the one against Turkey was an own goal, but it's still, this Italian side are very, very, very threatening up front, and they're dangerous. So for Italy, I'll compare side by side. The first game of the tournament was Italy versus Turkey, and that was a 3-0 win, where there was an own goal. Immobile. I'm stuttering today.
Try again.
Insigne and Immobile. There we go. And obviously England's first game against the semi-final rivals Croatia of the World Cup, and Raheem Sterling scoring in that, setting it, bringing our dreams to light. The second game of the tournament, a 3-0 win for Italy against Switzerland, where Locatelli scored 2 and Immobile got it right that time, scoring there. And I mean, England's game compared to that was a 0-0 draw against Scotland. I mean, that was not ideal at all in the sense that I think we watched that game together, didn't we? It was not great. It was when it comes to that game sucked. And then the 1-0 win against Wales for Italy in their last group stage game, Pessina with the goal. Compared to, I mean, we also had the 1-0 win against the Czech Republic. Raheem Sterling scoring again, which sent both the teams through to the round of 16. Italy probably definitely had the easier of the 2 games, in a 2-1 win after extra time against Austria. Chiesa and Pessina again popping up with goals. We definitely had probably one of the toughest games in the round of 16 to then come to the final. I thought we were done. If I'm being honest, I thought we were going to be done over by Germany, and that was a 2-0 win with Kane and Sterling, the dynamite duo. The quarterfinals, a 2-1 win against Belgium with Barella and Insigne for Italy, whereas we absolutely hammered Ukraine 4-0. Two goals from Harry Kane, Harry Maguire with the goal, and Jordan Henderson, Joe's favorite player, with the final goal. And as we all know, the semi-final that has just been played, 4-2 on penalties after a 1-1 draw against Spain for Italy. And as we've just mentioned, we won't go into too much detail. 2-1 win against Denmark with Kane in the own goal. In terms of journeys to the final, I mean, who's either had the easiest? I mean, no one's really had an easy journey to the to the final. We've had Germany and technically Italy have had Belgium and Spain. How impressed are you that both of these teams have made it through to the final, considering the opposition?
I don't think neither would have been the favourites. In my opinion, the 3 favourites going into this, first would probably have been France. Second, to me, probably would have been Portugal, in my honest opinion, because obviously, the previous winners. And then I think Germany would have been at third. Potentially in that 4th spot, England might maybe have slotted in there somewhere, but I think they were up against the likes of Belgium as well.
I'd argue Belgium because they're currently ranked. Well, they were going into the tournament ranked number 1 in the world, weren't they?
Yeah, I believe so at the time. I feel like, and whenever Belgium line up in an international tournament, they're going to come with firepower, and they had a really good run themselves. Really, obviously facing Italy, Italy definitely weren't on many people's radar, and you have to maybe wonder if that's a bit ignorant on a lot of fans' parts, because obviously people aren't religiously watching Serie A football and not picking up the Italians in their own league every single week. But at the same time, we know some of the talented players that they do have. We know that Donnarumma is a fantastic keeper. I think at the moment still currently without a club until PSG confirm that transfer. I'm pretty sure that's going to go through. But like Jorginho at Chelsea, had a bit of a slow start at Chelsea, and then I think now he's integral. And he's a lot of the Italian side. There are a lot of quotes going around that they think Jorginho should be Ballon d'Or shortlisted, and you never know. I mean, if he leaves with the Champions League and the Euros, he probably will be shortlisted on there. People are thinking the same thing about Kante if France won it. But I mean, it's not crazy.
Let's get Mason Mount in the Ballon d'Or shortlist then.
Why not? They get Reece James in there as well.
Well, I mean, he hasn't played, so
he's played. We've seen him. We've seen him a little bit. We've seen him on the sides.
saw him on the bench, yeah.
But,
maybe.
But yeah, I mean, by that logic, exactly. But at the core of it, this Italian side do have talent and flair, and we saw that Chiesa goal against Spain go in. We saw the kind of firepower they have, and obviously their two most promising or almost influential attackers we could probably name are probably Insigne and Immobile. But then you've also got Bernardeschi, and you've got people like Chiesa as well, alongside a very talented midfield who, with someone like Marco Verratti, try that again. Fantastic, international, fantastic club player as well. Jorginho, great defensive line, arguably the best defensive pairing at this competition until they come up against Maguire and Stones. But yeah, I think it's going to be a fantastic game, a really good game. And I'm still so confident England can do it, but we're definitely going to be tested. I think realistically against Germany, like you said, I think a lot of pessimists, or a lot of maybe realists, if you want to use that word, would probably thought that England were done at that point because of history and stuff, and we needed to get that win over Germany, and I think that propelled us so far forward after doing that. It really did, and the feeling was incredible after beating them, absolutely electric. Well, I think only topped by the feeling of getting to the final from Sunday.
Yeah.
But Wednesday rather. But I'm losing track of my days.
But we're just looking forward to Sunday.
There we go. This coming Sunday, that's when we're all going to see. We're going to see it all out on the pitch. I mean, I excited isn't the word, man. Excited isn't the word.
It's very exciting. Yeah, I can agree. Like, I was maybe one of those realists that thought, we were going to lock up with the second place from the group of death. If we did win our group, I was like, oh, that's going to be Portugal, France, or Germany. I was like, we're not going to get past those. And then, the group stage didn't really fill me with hope either. 1-0, 0-0, another 1-0. We played a lot like Germany did, if I'm being honest. They played a very slow style. They lacked penetration at times. They're trying to get through to the back line. And I mean, if we compare that to Italy, who are goal scorers no matter what, and it was crazy to see how they were playing. And obviously, you were naming a bunch of players. We can look at that kind of head to head. Jordan Pickford has 5 clean sheets in this tournament so far. Donnarumma has 3, and then obviously you look at the back four, comparing Di Lorenzo and Emerson as the wing backs, comparing that to Walker and Shaw. I think that England probably have the advantage there. But then I think where the Italians have the advantage in the back four are those two extremely just ageless centre backs. Like Bonucci and Chiellini have been imperative to their success. I mean, just how can they be so good yet be aging like I mean, I guess they're aging like a fine wine almost.
It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. Bonucci and Keane, obviously famous Juventus pairing. It always makes me wonder that random. When Bonucci went to AC Milan for like 3/4 of a season or something weird, and then was back at Juventus. Like that was honestly the oddest thing I've seen. Very, very, very strange. But obviously they've got plenty of experience of playing together at club level as well, which makes their chemistry all the more strong on the international side. And I don't think I've seen two guys more passionate singing their national anthem since probably like Daniele De Rossi and Francesco Totti, who were both also Italian nationals.
Exactly. I mean, I think it was a picture from the tournament earlier on in the tournament in the group stage, and it was the Italian. It was either in the group stage or it was just before, and it was them screaming the national anthem, and they had the kid mascots just like screaming, like trying to cover their ears because they're so loud.
Yeah,
that's just the passion of this Italian team, and I mean they have a national anthem that they can scream where we can't just shout "God Save Our Queen."
Oh, we can. We will. We'll be doing it at the Euros.
I want to see John Stones screaming it in his Yorkshire accent.
Literally, putting everything on the line, singing the song.
Going down the rest of the squad, we kind of play a similarly in terms of format. Like obviously we've got we've got the holding midfielders. They play a straight three. We've got the two holding midfielders and a central attacking midfielder. Rice and Phillips, I would say, are kind of more similar in terms of play to Jorginho and Verratti. They don't have a holding midfielder per se. And then obviously we've got Mason Mount that travels up the middle. I mean, depends who's playing. It could be Phil Foden. It could be Mason Mount. And they've got a very young and world-class player in Barea who's scored a goal at the tournament already. And that midfield three is they're all playing different leagues and they're just renowned. I mean, you've listed off some of their like sort of trophies and winnings over the years. And then to compare the attacks, we both play a front three. Chiesa and Saka, both very young talents, both very important to these teams. I mean, we could either play Saka, we could play Sancho. We have a lot of options on that right hand side. I mean, we played Foden against Croatia in the first game. We have a lot of options, and on that left hand side, it's world class left wingers. Insigne and Raheem Sterling, both of those players have been goal scorers. Insigne with 2 goals, Sterling with 3 goals. Unfortunately, it wasn't a fourth. We have to credit Kier for the goal. And then the 2 men up top. I mean, when you're looking at finishers, then they're not the fastest. Kane in a Moby. I've got a really bad stutter today. It's really, and it's always Immobile. It's always his name. Both of those proven goal scorers, one for Lazio, one for Spurs, both underperforming teams in their leagues. And I mean, when it comes to strikers that are way too good for the clubs that they play for, they're both not the quickest, but they can turn, they can shoot, they can fit. Their finishing ability is great, and they can also pick out a pass. They sort of fit under the radar of not the Kylian Mbappe's and the Ronaldos of the world, the ones that can get behind defenses, but they can take the ball and carry it. And they're great within the box. Immobile, Kane, Lewandowski. Lewandowski probably the best player in the world, best striker in the world to do that. I mean, comparing those teams, like, is that Italian defense too? I mean, they've been very, very good at not conceding goals. Is that Italian defense too much for us?
No. I think it's incredibly daunting. I feel like we've come up against incredibly tough defenses already. What will be the difference maker with us in this particular game? In my opinion, you level up with depth, us in Italy, and I think we are better at depth. I think we have more talent, like game-changing talent on our bench than they do, in my opinion. A lot of people, it always seems to be the main criticism of Southgate comes at maybe not using all of the subs or not using them quick enough. That's a lot of the time. And I definitely know there were plenty of people shouting at their TV screens at the semis, get Jack on earlier, get Sancho on, get Rashford. difference makers to come on and try and change and influence the game. Get Henderson as well, possibly Henderson coming on to, you know what I mean, just as an example. But at the end of the day, he's not put a foot wrong. And the reason why is because we've won all of the games. Maybe players could have come on earlier, but at the end of the day, the scoreline each and every time has put us forward. So I feel like the nation now trusts in his process. The nation does trust him. But I think when it boils down to it, the difference between us and them is going to be our depth and how we deploy that, how we use it. Because it wouldn't surprise me if we come up against Italy with the exact same team we played against Denmark. And I don't think many people would have any quarrel with that, unless God forbid there's any injuries, which obviously, touch wood, pray to whatever God, or do whatever you want to, honestly.
Pray to Gareth Southgate.
Pray to Southgate. I think that, we'll probably line up in the same way, with probably Saka on the right as well. It seems to be everything's been pretty cemented, bar that particular position. I mean, obviously we've been with Saka a lot, but occasionally, we've seen a bit of change on that area. So I think Saka will probably start again. I do think we will see Jadon Sancho. I do think we're going to see Jack Grealish, and it wouldn't surprise me if we even see like a Marcus Rashford or Jordan Henderson coming on a bit sooner into the game, potentially. I feel like our longevity, because this Italian team are agile as anything, and they're going to want to win this. They've had, they're a nation which isn't, accustomed to not winning titles. The Italians win stuff. They win Euros, they win World Cups. It's been a while for them, so they're going to be all the more hungry for it. But the question will come down to, the most brutal question is, who's hungry on the day? Who wants it more? Who wants it more? And that's a scary thought to boil it down to. Yeah. But at the end of the day, every football match goes down to that. Every sporting event goes down to that. But on the main stage, at this most important of tournaments for England, who's more hungry? And God, I hope we are on the day.
I hope so too. I mean, but what can go after the trophies more? Is it? I mean, like, we've got a great squad, we've got all the depth, but people seem to forget that a lot of these players haven't played in an international tournament before in this England squad. Saka, Mount, Phillips, Rice, and they're performing on the big stage. Whereas the Italians, they've got so much experience. I mean, surely there comes a point where the experience of winning trophies, winning very important games, it boils down to can our young side overcome the mental advantage that Italy might have?
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely a factor. And obviously that there's some of these veterans that the Italian side have got, and they're serial winners. They know how to win, and they like winning. They feel like once, footballers start getting their first one or two titles and stuff, start getting one or two goals, if they're really driven, they lust for it and they want to get more. And like you said, there are a lot of young players at this tournament who haven't faced that. But I feel like we're forgetting a lot of the players at this tournament, bar possibly Bellingham, who would be awesome to see as well in that final. Bellingham and Sancho and Trippier, I believe. Apart from that, the majority of all of these players have all come from the Premier League. Obviously, Ramsdale and Johnson have just been relegated, but the rest of them are all from the Premier League. That's crazy to think. Actually, there's 2 Championship players in this squad. They haven't played, but that is actually crazy to think. But it all will boil down to who's more hungry. And these young players play week in and week out in the Premier League, which is the best and most competitive league in the world on its day. I think clubs would struggle in the Premier League. International clubs would struggle. And they'd struggle to come up against some of these kind of players. And you play against, always boil down to that Timo Werner quote. First game, he comes in and what does he say? He's like, I did not expect it to be that physical. Should have done your homework, Timo. Should have done your homework. And that's what I feel like. These players are used to playing that. They know how physical games can get. And also, because they're so young, I think that'll make them more driven. I honestly do.
Well, I think I'm hoping for a win. I don't want to say any predictions. I mean, what I want us to win. It's not a case of, I think this will happen. No, it's guaranteed. No, I really don't have a clue. And that might just be the realist in me. Like, just thinking that I don't know, I can't. Will we win? I really hope so. I really, really, really hope so.
We will. We've got to leave all thoughts at the door. I agree with you. No predictions made in this. go into it, enjoy it for what it is, enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy the vibes, wherever you're watching it from, whether you're watching it out, inside, with family, with friends, on your own, no matter where you are, on any device.
I'll be sat right on this sofa that I'm currently recording this on, watching the game. TV's over there. I'll be watching it with my family. If you're watching it with family, friends, your dog, your cat, your goldfish that's in the corner, make sure you get some England kit on everywhere. Just make sure you're supporting the team. And if you're not English and you're supporting the other team, it's us versus the world, isn't it? Everyone hates when England win for some reason. It's us against the world, as that one song used to. I can't remember what song it was, but everyone, thanks for watching the podcast. It's been a great Euros coverage that we've done for the last 3 weeks. It's really sad that the tournament's ended.
It's crazy, and it's got ended quick. It's gone fast, and and we've had some fantastic, memorable games. Lots of new players to keep your eyes on after this tournament in the transfer window, because some clubs are going to want to snap these guys up. And, hopefully we're going back to our normal routine on Tuesday and doing a final roundup and a final, little
send-off,
whatever that may be. But, keep your mind open, keep your mind empty, and go out and just enjoy the final. You'll remember where you were for it. You're going to remember. It's iconic. But thank you, as always, guys. As Reese mentioned at the start of the podcast, if you're listening on streaming services, give us a little follow on there. And if you want to follow us on social media, you can get us at Instagram at The Average Pundits, Twitter at Pundits Average, and Facebook also as well, we're The Average Pundits on Facebook. All of our links to our personal socials can be found on there as well if you want to give us a little follow. And if you're watching this on YouTube, the all-important like and subscribe, that would really help us out. Thank you, as always, Reese. It's been a pleasure.
The tournament so far has been great. I'm sure that everywhere is going to be buzzing on Sunday. The podcast will be kind of returning back to normal. Probably not next week, but the week after. We'll probably give like a round off of the Euros for next week's podcast. But this is kind of a little extra one that we were deciding to do, preview for the final, and then we'll review the final and the tournament as a whole for the next upcoming podcast. So. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the Average Pundits episode 83. 83
episodes down the line. And as always, guys, thank you very much. We will see you next time, and it is coming home.
Come on.